From NBC News, this is Today with Kathie Gifford and Hoda Kotb, live from Studio 1A in Rockefeller Plaza.
Earlier this week, we learned that Diane Schuler, the driver in July's deadly wrong-way crash on the Taconic, was a woman who, quote, smoked marijuana on a regular basis. Actually, according to a recent study, an estimated 8 million women admitted to smoking marijuana in the past year. But is this harmless recreational drug use, or is it the sign of a dangerous addiction?
Here to sort it all out for us are Dr. Julie Holland from the NYU School of Medicine and author of Weekends at Bellevue. Sounds like a, never mind. And Dr. Hal Urschel, an addiction psychiatrist and author of Healing the Addicted Brain. Welcome to you both.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Those numbers, 8 million seemed like a lot.
You know, 10 million Americans are regular smokers. I'm sorry, 10% of Americans are regular smokers and 1% are daily smokers. That's millions of Americans.
How do we know that? How do we know that statistic?
Well, most people
it's
actually
illegal,
think
so you wonder if people are actually talking about
they're
it.
probably underreporting and the numbers are probably higher.
I mean, I think it's interesting when you talk about professional women who are going to work and they have kids and stuff who are going home and smoking pot. What's the why?
And it isn't any different than having a couple of martinis after
Well,
work.
you know, I think women are under a tremendous amount of pressure these days. Working, raising kids, husbands losing jobs, the tough economic times, and I think people tend to view alcohol and drugs as innocent and not dangerous, and sometimes inappropriately use them to deal with stress or anxiety.
Well, they call marijuana a gateway drug, and what does that exactly mean? Because it leads to
Well, I have to
use?
say there's really no scientific evidence to support. It's really a myth, the gateway theory. Yeah, there's no, I mean, the same way that you could say that every motorcycle rider started out riding a bicycle, but that doesn't mean that every bicyclist is going to end up being a motorcycle rider.
But for some people maybe who have they lean towards addiction, could that be the case?
The majority of pot smokers don't go on to use other drugs.
That's true, but you know, the most people that use alcohol and drugs, 93% of them don't become addicted. Okay, only 7% become addicted.
Are people worried about going to jail? Because it is illegal.
We forget. We make fun of it, don't we? We just sort of laugh about it.
Well, we arrested 850,000 people last year for cannabis. 40% of America thinks it should be legalized.
Well, you know, I think I would actually disagree. I do think that if you legalize marijuana, you would get a lot more addicts. I mean, I think there's the 7% of the people would increase the actual numbers of people, but the women are out there are more vulnerable these days. Women are in general more vulnerable to alcohol and drugs than men.
Can we just be casual marijuana smokers? I mean, there's some people who they don't become addicted, they just do it every now and then, or is this one of those things that you really kind of get hooked on?
I think that people can integrate altered states healthfully into their lives. I think that people do. And you know, you look at the numbers of who goes on to get addicted. Cigarettes, 32%. Then you've got heroin, 23, and then you've got alcohol at 15, cannabis down at 9. I mean, cigarettes and alcohol are major problems in America and costing us a lot of money.
But you know, it's still a risk. And you know, alcohol and drug addiction is a chronic disease of the brain. So you are taking a risk. It always kind of sneaks up on you. I mean, nobody ever goes out and said, look, if I start drinking today, in 5 to 7 years, if I really work hard, I'll become an alcoholic. You know, it's like it sneaks up on you. And as you see your friends getting closer and closer to the edge, you need to, and if you get worried about them, you need to approach it. The worst thing you can do is ignore it. Because there's so many great treatments for addiction out there, and that's what the public doesn't know. And I think that's the real message here, is that women, there's hope for women, and based on the Diane Schuler issue, you know, if there's women out there now that have a drink with dinner at night, or if there's they're probably going to be okay. But if there's a woman that actually is having a drink in the morning to steady her nerves before she gets in the carpool line,
well, that's just it. If you're going to
who
stay
needs to
home at night and do that, you're only hurting yourself. You smoke that stuff and then you get behind the wheel, as we learned through Diane Schuler. You're putting everyone else at risk as well.
I mean, impaired driving, nobody wants that.
And some people say it has healing powers. Is there any truth in medicinal powers?
No. The negative effects.
Hal and I may disagree.
I think the negative effects. I mean, there's 250 substances in marijuana smoke. Only one of them is THC.
Okay, but then you just look at THC. This is a Schedule III approved drug. It has medicinal use. The United States has a patent on using cannabis medicinally. They distribute medical marijuana to certain patients. I mean, it doesn't belong in Schedule I. Cannabis does not belong in Schedule I.
We should continue the debate. It's terrific. Thank you
both.
very, very
We
much.
Appreciate it.
And coming up.